What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us on the Amazing Race Episode 2 recap. Joining me tonight is none other than Calbert. Calbert, how you doing?
What's going on, everybody?
Not joining us tonight is Goldberg. I don't know where Goldberg is. Hopefully, he'll be able to join us again. But for now, we're just going to be rolling with us two tonight. All right. Well, episode 2, Calbert, in the books, where we saw a lot of stuff happen. We got a little bit more of your traditional episode here in Austria. But general thoughts on this episode?
I thought it was pretty good. I kind of liked it, being that we were traditionists. I kind of like that they went back to the traditional style. Although it only took 2 episodes, and we now know that teams don't know, even with a map in their hand, where stuff is.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. And speaking of going back to traditional, we thought, is the scramble going to happen every single leg? But we were proven wrong, at least, thankfully, and went back to the way it always has been. So I for one enjoyed that aspect because I like the scramble, but I don't like it to be every leg. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But yeah, so as you were saying, though, with the map, we kind of started off the episode leaving from Munich. They got the directions to Austria, and I mean, not much to really say except for Quentin and Maddie kind of struggled here. Obviously they had trouble finding the first task. They thought that the task was, the roadblock was in Munich. So they were driving around Munich while everybody else was headed to Austria. So not sure how they mistook that. What are your thoughts on that?
I legit thought that they were going to end up having to go to like Australia. I'm not even, I mean, I'm half joking. But I mean, thankfully that woman's was basically said, basically she was being the most polite I've ever seen a person, as far as trying to give directions. And she's like, your clue even says it's an
Yeah.
You're in Munich. This is in Austria. That's 90 miles south.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're really there, and they're incredibly lucky that they didn't. I legit thought they might get eliminated just because of that blunder. That's a huge
what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it, but that we got a lot to talk about with that. But they had to drive to past Austria. In this leg's roadblock, one team member has to learn and correctly sing 3 Alpine yodels to receive their next clue. Before starting this task, both team members had to don traditional Austrian costumes, which they had to wear for the rest of the leg.
Hold on to that small little piece of information with what Hurles just said, because that's gonna come into account a little bit later as we go on with this episode.
Yes, big time. We kind of had the Phil swerve when you arrived to the pit stop, and he basically gave them the stern talking to. But with this first roadblock, man, Derek and Claire really struggled here. Claire obviously struggled. She could not get anything down. Took her about 10 tries, and I like how Derek said, I'm diagnosing you as tone deaf.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. How about Rex doing this task, though?
I thought that was interesting, and he's dyslexic, so I didn't know he was dyslexic.
I didn't either.
That was weird. And everybody with a couple exceptions, everybody seemed to struggle on the third song, which I didn't really pick up on the fact that they had to sing 3 until they were all kind of standing there trying to sing it. I'm like, why are they all trying to sing? I thought it was just 2 songs and that was it. But so you had to sing 3, and everybody was kind of struggling with a couple exceptions. everybody was kind of struggling on the third song. And so
Yeah.
if you struggled with it, you had to wait, you had to go back. And I think some of the actual professional yodelers were a little generous with some of them, because there were sometimes that the teams were doing the lyrics, but they weren't really doing action, which was like their milk. I'm doing a visual that nobody can see. You're milking a cow, or you're basically kind of like doing a Broadway type big arm.
It's like a bob and weave type dance kind of.
There were times that there were teams that were singing that they weren't doing the action, especially on the third one. I thought as the leg was going on, I thought they're being a little generous. That might be why they were like trying to conference with each other. Oh, I don't know. Should we pass this person on? They're really the only one standing here, Claire. They're really the only one standing here. Should we pass her on? She really shouldn't have to do it a third time or a 12th time in this case, So.
Yeah. I mean, and you also had Marcus and Michael. They did really well on this task.
Glenda did really, really good. Glenda nailed it right out of the park on the first.
Right away.
On the first
try.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would have struggled with this too, because everybody kind of said that they were like, well, it was kind of easy once you kind of figured out the tone and the words themselves. And I'm like, nope, no, I wouldn't have been I wouldn't have necessarily been as bad as Rex, but I would have been right up there. Like, it's hard. It's not easy.
I mean, I'm not sure Rex was the worst. I think maybe Claire was.
I would say Claire was. Yeah,
but,
Claire was bad.
I mean, Litton and Sharik, obviously, or Litton did it really well. Michelle did it pretty solid as well. And same with Abby. I think it only took her twice. Emily and Molly, I'm not sure which one did it, but I think they only took 2 times as well. So, yeah. And, Marcus and Michael were the first ones to leave. And then right after was Glenda and Lumumba. And then we had kind of in a dramatic fashion, we had Derek and Claire finally get it. And then as they got it, Quentin and Maddie finally found the roadblock after driving for who knows how long. But they finally get it. And they kind of ace it on their first try. Because if they didn't, I think they might have been the ones eliminated for sure.
And even Claire kind of said that. She was like, they're cheerleaders, so they know routines and they know songs, and they have good memory. Which I don't know memory. I'm not exactly how much memory would have helped with this, because the words are there. But the pronunciation, I guess, probably would have. But yeah, I agree. If they weren't as good with that as they are, then they would have been gone. So.
Correct. So, like, the theme of the first episode was kind of like all physical tasks. This one was all music tasks and dancing. So, I mean, I think this was kind of like tailor-made for all the cheerleaders and dancers in this season, which there were a lot of them. So, it kind of makes sense why Rex and Tim got Team T-Rex got eliminated, because they really had to have gotten out to a good lead, because once it came down to the detour, they were kind of screwed. They had to nail it, and just didn't happen. But then we finally go to Innsbruck, where they had the clue box, and that's where they found the clue that had the detour. It was the first detour of this season, was a choice between bells ringing or partners swinging. In bells ringing, teams had to use Tyrolean bells to play a traditional Austrian folk song called Tiroler Glockenklang to receive their next clue. In partner swinging, teams had to learn and correctly perform a traditional Austrian wedding dance, which incorporates Schuhplatter to receive their next clue. So this one, bells ringing or partner swinging, Chris, what are you picking? What task are you picking here?
I probably would have taken bells ringing, because the bells are labeled. So it says like what note each bell is. Now, having said that, which I agree with Marcus and Michael. My first question when they went was, why is there an accordion player there?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for that.
Well, that's what makes it different from the practice.
That's true. That is true.
Hey, you have a quote, when the lights get bright.
That's right.
And that was a moment when the lights get bright, so you got to perform it.
Which I thought that was interesting too. Did you notice? I don't know which one of them. I because they're brothers and they're twins. I don't know. One of them had like an earpiece in their ear. So
yes,
I wonder if it was maybe. I wonder if it was maybe just to cancel out the noise, or maybe the bells are louder than. I mean, they sounded pretty loud on my TV. I can't imagine what it'd been like in there.
Oh gosh, that could be. Well, they probably brought them. They probably brought them to like any loud noises. They probably, obviously them being in the service, both of them, they're dealing with guns and loud blasts a lot of times. Not saying they did personally, but I'm sure they did at some point in their training. So, maybe they have sensitive ears and they didn't, they wanted to cancel it out. So that's all I can think about is why they brought the earplugs.
I thought the dance was relatively. I mean, I'm gonna use the word simple, but it's not really simple. I think the most difficult thing that everybody had that did the dance was just like the spinning of the partner, because you didn't exactly know how many times you had to spin them, and then if you were the guy, you had to do like some type of knee slap, foot slap thing. You didn't know when that was supposed to kick in. So that's the only reason why I would have probably taken bells, is because the bells are labeled. And so after like the 8th step with my partner, and then having to spin her, 18 times, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then trying to remember the knee slap thing. And to that point, that judge was a little bit more, I thought a little bit more strict. Because I thought for some of their first attempts for some of the teams that did it, I thought they were okay.
Yes.
And he'd go, no, that's not the Australian way.
Yeah, near Austrian style.
Yeah, that's not the Australian style. Right.
It is near Austrian perfect.
Right.
Near Austrian style.
Right. And I don't know. That's why I took them. And that's the other thing too. Like even when you did attempt the bells in the non-practice room, the sheet was still labeled, so you knew, okay, am I the yellow section or am I the blue section?
Correct.
So you know what you have to do. That's
I think you had time. It wasn't like you had to play them fast either. Right. You had time to kind of correct yourself if you kind of slightly missed it. But he would play the bad note if you didn't, pick it up. Obviously,
what would you have done?
I think I would have done bells ringing. Obviously it depends on, who I'm with, but me personally, if I don't have to do a dance challenge, I think I can do the bells ringing because I can remember. It's like a game of memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you also have the sheet to look. So I don't think it would have taken that long. Whereas a dance, like, I don't think it was a necessarily super hard dance, but I mean, let's put it this way. If I'm with a guy, we're probably 100% doing bells ringing, right?
Well, somebody should have told Emily and Molly that, because they were both girls.
Yeah, they were both girls, and they still did it. Right. But I think bells ringing would have been. I don't know if necessarily there was one harder than the other. They seemed kind of. Now, I think in this episode, partner swinging looked easier, but we also have to remember that there was like at least 4 dance teams, so they made it look super easy.
Right.
So, I mean, at this point, like when you had the cheerleaders, like, and you knew, like, they were right on teams behind, you knew they were going to get it first. Right. You knew it was going to be a one and done for them.
Right.
So,
if I'm right, I think it only took them 3 times. Got it. Like, it wasn't, and that's just thing. It's just a technical. It wasn't like anybody did it like that, unless you're Rex, which he was cussing up a storm, which made me laugh. But I think the best line of the entire thing of the entire episode was him saying, "I'm not gonna get this exactly right. him saying, "I'm going to casually drive today. I'm not going to aggressively drive. I'm casually driving."
Oh yeah, he said I'm a defensive driver.
I'm a defensive driver
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah.
That made me laugh. I laughed out loud.
There was plenty of time for them to not get eliminated. I felt like they clearly had trouble finding the place.
Yeah,
because they left a lot quicker than they arrived. So,
right.
and I mean, Rex was really talking up Tim too, using the coaching mentality. I think Tim was having troubles with those bells quite a bit.
Yeah, he was, because it took them 10 times to do it.
Yes,
and that's why, I mean, give them credit for being persistent. Because like they're like, we're Rex, we're close, we're really close, we're really really close, and then when they got it, it was like Rex won the Super Bowl. Or,
yes. But unfortunately, it was just they were going a little too slow.
Right.
Marcus and Michael, I mean, even them, it took them 5 times, but they had such a big lead, it really didn't.
He should have gone. They should have gone outside. He should have gone outside for a couple minutes.
Just took a breather.
Go outside.
Yep.
Take a.
Yep. You want to go outside? What's wrong with you? You want to go outside for 5 minutes?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Take a beat. You're good.
You're good. So yeah, I would have done bells ringing. I think that's the logical choice here for me. Here's another thing I want to talk about. So Derek and Claire are second to last here, leaving the pit stop to go to the detour. They must have been speeding, or they knew exactly where the heck they were going, because they passed like ridiculous amount of teams, like at least 4 teams they passed leaving that detour.
Yeah, and because they even said we're running our own race now.
Yeah.
While everybody else was getting directions, because they were using hand or like physical maps, like the ones that you and I grew up with, where you had to try and stick it back into the glove box and never actually fit, and it's so, and like taking a pen or a pencil and like physically drawing where you have to go. So yeah, you're exactly right. And that's the thing too. I think that's why she was so mad, is because she was there first and she had gotten the first 2 songs like that. I mean, really, really simple, really, really easy.
Yep.
There, Derek is pretty much sitting on the tractor just waiting for her to get done.
Yeah. I mean, that was the most we've seen them struggle. But the fact that they were able to make up so much time is a testament to how, I think, good they are, or how tough a team they're going to be in this season. But we did see a human side from them. So, Marcus and Michael, even with the delay with them, they still managed to get first place, and it kind of give credence to what I was talking about last week, where they were doing the tasks really well. It's just their navigation kind of cost them last week. This week, it didn't seem to be a factor. So it's possible they got that out of the way right away.
Possible. I mean, I think they are a good team, and my power rankings they changed a little bit from last week to this week, especially with them in particular. But like, I thought that they're pretty good, as long as they don't get in their own way, which I can see, because they're brothers. Like, it's starting to kind of boil just a little bit.
Yes.
Kind of get on each other's nerves just a smidge.
Just a little bit, right? That is correct, because we've seen it, but the fact that they got first, though, I got to give them something for that, because I mean, they didn't lose it. They are getting a little irritated, but the fact that they're out in such a big lead, that it obviously helped them. But later on, could I see that being a problem? Sure, if they don't kind of nip that in the bud. So yeah. Glendon Lumumba coming in second. Wow, solid from them. Very solid.
They really are. They're really really good. They just put their heads down, and they're like, basically, when they got to the car after doing the yodeling, singing, I would have been pumped. Heck yeah, let's go.
Yes.
it's us against the world kind of mentality.
Yep. And they're going to do it for Boom Boom.
Yeah, and they're doing it for Boom Boom, which that's a funny name.
The name of the baby and the action that's created.
Yes.
Baby.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Not bad for a short guy.
No, not at all. Not at all. Kyler Murray of the Amazing Race.
That's right. That's right.
And then another solid team, Linden Shriek, man. 3rd place this week.
Yeah.
Really solid performance. No hiccups from them. Just racing and just doing really well. And then coming in 4th, like we said, really rough start to the episode with Derek and Claire, but an amazing finish by them and great navigational skills to catch up so much time on that. So got to give them props, but you could also look at it like, well, this team does have a crack. We've seen it. So possibly that could come back to bite them. Possibly. They do take 4th. Coming in 5th place, your team with a much better rebound this week, nailing the dancing challenge and really the yodeling challenge. They didn't really have a problem with either. Luis and Michelle taking 5th.
Just the navigation. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is that they have is the navigation. Which, luckily, it didn't cost them, but they were going south and they should have been going north.
Yes. And Michelle said, any dancing challenge that we get, we're doing, whether you like it or not.
Right.
So.
Right.
That's from Michelle's mouth. And then Abby and Will, again, the whole hum team that didn't get a lot of screen time, moved up 2 spots this week to 6th place. So, I will take that. Didn't do anything wrong and just moved up 2 spots. So I got to give them credit. Emily and Molly, they didn't really have too much trouble with the yodeling, but they did seem to have some issues with the dancing. It took them a few times, I think 3 or 4 times, I think it said. So had a little bit of issue, but keep in mind that they are going up against other dancers and cheerleaders. So obviously I'm not going to dock them too much. And they still kind of impressed me as far as a team that I didn't think would go anywhere. And they take 7th. So not terrible. Aubrey and David taking 8th. Now, are you impressed with them at all? Because I'm still not impressed with them.
No.
And I think it's a little misleading when we say 8th place. Because, Calbert, you want to explain what happened to Rich and Dom?
Well, Rich and Dom would have been an 8th, but Dom forgot her hat. And it specifically said whenever he opened up the clue at the yodeling part of the episode, you have to wear your costume the entire time. And I'm sure it was underlined entire time.
Yes.
And when Dom and Rich were driving, she didn't have her hat on. So in typical Amazing Race style, when you don't have the entire outfit, you have to go back and get it. And Dom was like, well, it's in the streets. My hat is in the streets. I don't know where it is. And Phil went, well, go into the streets and find it then, because you can't hit the mat until you have your hat.
Yes.
It cost them a spot, as it turns out.
It did. So Aubrey and David really haven't done anything to really impress us.
Mm-mm.
Rich and Dom have done something a little costly these past 2 weeks. And they didn't do the bells, ringing bells too bad. It did take them 2 times after she thanked the universe for all that is good. But this team is very emotional, very dramatic, or at least Dom is. I don't know about Rich, but Dom is very, very dramatic, and I don't see them lasting too much longer. I know you were high on them last week, but I don't know. I am not feeling this team at all. I don't think they're put them under a really stressful situation. I think they're just going to crack.
I agree.
So, and then we had the battle between Tim and Rex and Quentin and Maddie. Once Quentin and Maddie got to that, dancing challenge, and Tim and Rex took them 10 times to figure this out, you knew they were done for, unfortunately. Even with Rich and Dom not bringing her hat, they still were quicker to find Phil. Tim T-Rex, they just didn't go fast enough and just couldn't nail the challenge fast enough to overcome it. So,
which it did, like it didn't look like it was a hard place to find for the mat.
No,
like it was. I mean, it wasn't obvious. Like the mat is here with a blinking arrow. It wasn't that obvious, but it was pretty close. Like it's down at the other end.
Yeah, it was in the Hofburg Imperial Palace. So,
right.
I mean, that's a huge place. So,
right.
Was not meant to be for Team T-Rex. So, Calbert, are you disappointed we didn't get to see more Team T-Rex? Because I felt like they were one of the more entertaining teams on the show.
They were an entertaining team, but I was only a week off on them. I thought they would get eliminated in the first episode. Okay, they got eliminated in the second episode. But that's the thing. It's not like I don't hate them, right?
Right.
They're not a hateable team. They were like, they made me laugh. So like that's good. When they were leaving, like Rex gave a yodel hoo.
Yes.
when so that was kind of funny. But yeah, and they're exactly right. Like when they were leaving, they're like, "Oh, our friends are gonna bust our chops." Yeah. When we get back home. Well, yeah, because you got beat. You finished last, but you finished second to last. So you know what they call that? Second to last. That's still not great.
No, you made it 2 episodes, I guess.
Right.
There's that, I guess. But oh man, I just wish though that we would have had anybody else get eliminated, because I would at least like to see them a few more episodes, because like you said, they were entertaining and they made me chuckle quite a bit. So, all right. Before we give our power rankings, what did you think of the episode out of 10?
I thought the episode was pretty good. I gave this episode 7 just because of just based off the yodeling part of it. That's impressive. Like I can't sing, and I sure as hell can't dance.
Mm-hmm.
So like especially for like the dude that was like the actual professional yodeler that was like it looked like he was gonna have a heart attack as soon as he started singing, kind of turned purple. Like that's impressive. It just like, and that's the thing too. Like the guy that was like helping each person out with a little pointer to say like, this is the word that you say. I'm going to follow it, and so like he was pretty good, I thought. Yeah, so I gave it a 7. The Bells challenge I thought was pretty good. I'm not that big of a dancer, but we know it's Amazing Race, so you got to dance at least in a couple episodes, as we know. So
yeah,
I thought it was pretty good.
I hope that like going forward, it's not just going to be all dancing challenges, just because they have a lot of dancing teams.
Yeah.
I mean, so I actually, when you told me in the preview before we started recording, I actually am kind of looking forward to that, because it's a little something different.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to also give it a 7, not to just keep agreeing with you every week, but I thought it was a little bit better than last week with the tasks, and also the scenery was a little bit better. So
very green.
And there was some drama. There was some drama in this episode. So I definitely have to give it at least a 7. Yes, very green though. Yep. Isn't that where The Sound of Music was filmed, in Austria?
Yes.
I thought it was. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Which I actually thought that they would I thought they might, I mean, they did, kind of did. But I thought they might maybe do like something Sound of Music related, maybe singing. I know they were technically singing on top of a mountain, so that is Sound of Music related, and yodeling. But like, I guess that's probably why they had to wear their costumes then. I'm just thinking this out loud. That's probably what they had. That's yeah. So there you go. There's your Sound of Music theme kind of episode.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, let's begin the power rankings here. I believe you started it last time, so I guess I will start here. So my team number 11 this week, team number 10. I'm going to put Rich and Dom at 10. They haven't obviously placed any worse than 9th, but 2 mistakes week after week. I think they're the weakest team right now, and all it's going to take is one really stressful leg, and I think they're done. But Calbert, why don't you give us your number 10?
I also have written down this isn't a good start. We're agreeing, and they're really lucky. Like they were really lucky that she found her hat, and the hat was in the back of this in the back. Like what? Who puts that in the back? Especially if you're driving, which she was, if I remember correctly, she's driving. Why is your hat back?
Yes. I didn't understand that. Maybe she just chucked it in there. I don't know. But they clearly didn't read their clue.
Right, which is
so that's a problem. Yeah. All right. Who's your number 9?
My number 9 is Aubrey and David. And I'm really sitting here trying to think of something spectacular that they did in this episode, and I can't really think of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're 9. They really haven't done anything yet that's gone like, wow, this team's really good. So they're 9.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go Aubrey and David at 9. They're just a team that's like, there's like no, the word I'm looking for, go-getterness, kind of, they don't have that extra gear, it seems. They're just kind of ho-hum, and I think, they took 8th this week, but it was, they would have been 9th, which I'm better than 11th, but I'm not seeing much to put them any higher. They just don't seem like a team that's going to be really passing many teams. They just, I think they got lucky with a dancing challenge. They're not always going to have that dancing challenge to save them, though. So I got to put them at 9. For my number 8 team, I think I'm going to go Emily and Molly. They've surprised me, but they're starting to slip a little bit even. Now you can see, I think they had a hot start, but I mean, I think they're better by a lot than the 2 teams we just mentioned, but there's nothing that's like pushing me to put them any higher than where they're at 8. So I think they are right now in my number 8. Who's your number 8?
My number 8 is Quinn and Maddie. I just had to put them somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had Dom not made that colossal mistake.
Yeah,
I would have put Quinn and Maddie at 10, but I had to put them somewhere. And the fact that they got lost, but they crushed both both detours when they had to. She sung. Maddie did the singing, and she killed it after the 3rd time. And they killed the dancing because, of course, they did, because they're cheerleaders.
Yes.
That's their saving grace. But that's really bad if you think that the challenge is actually still in Munich and it's in a different country completely.
Yeah.
So not good.
No
Navigation, not their
friend. Kind of a colossal error right there.
Yeah.
All right. So then it would be going to your 7th?
Yep. My number 17 is Emily and Molly. Kind of like you. They're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not really doing anything terribly colossal, like forgetting their hat or not knowing where they are. But they really haven't really done a whole lot for me to go, ooh. Other than the fact that they actually, I think that was kind of gutsy that they actually tried the dancing, because they're girls first off, and B, they did pretty good at it.
They're not dancers.
Yeah. So
yeah, I agree. My number 7 team is actually going to be Luis and Michelle. So I moved them up, obviously, from last week, but just because they finished 5th with a dancing challenge, it doesn't really it's not that impressive that they were able to. Now, she did really good at the yodeling. I'll give her that. And they obviously nailed the dancing challenge, but I figured they would, because it's exactly what they do. So I can't excuse the fact that they took 10th in the first episode. So I kind of got to play the law of averages here, and I'm going to put them at 7. But hey, that is, they did move up in my book. So I got them ahead of at least 3 other teams. So that's a big improvement over last week. So we'll see what they do week 3. I think that'll really kind of give a good example of where they are as a team. But as of right now, I got to keep them at 7. My number 6 place team, I'm actually going to go my team, Abby and Will. I they haven't done anything bad, but they haven't done anything great either. They're just kind of in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to say they're like Iswar and Apana, the team I picked 2 seasons ago.
Right.
But they seem a little bit better than them. But they also haven't done anything for me to be wowed by them yet. So right in the middle is exactly where I think they should go, and I got them at 6 right now. So who's your 6th place team?
Yeah, we basically just flip-flopped. I
Mhm.
have your team at 6. They really haven't done anything that's impressed me, but I had them 9th last week, so they're actually up a little bit.
Yeah, you really jobbed them last week.
I did. I had them 9th. So
that's okay.
Now it's just the reverse of 9. So yeah, they're okay. They're kind of like Emily and Molly for me right now. They really haven't been too crazy. They're just kind of going about it. And then team number 5 obviously is my team, Lisa Michelle. Like, thank God they did the dancing challenge, and thank God they crushed it right away. Because I was very, very concerned with the fact that when Luis was driving, that he didn't know that he had to go north when he was going south. So that was a little concerning for me. Not get off my couch and yell at the television, mad, but little frustrated. But they did finish 5th, and that's where I have them. So
yeah. My number 5 team is going to be Quentin and Maddie. I'm going to excuse them on this week. I obviously have them going down from last week, but I'm going to excuse them because their navigation was obviously really bad. But at the same time, if they just nail the tasks. Like the tasks don't seem doesn't really seem to phase them too much. It's the navigation that seems to get them in trouble all the time. So I'm going to put Quentin at Maddie at 5, but I think they could obviously win a whole leg. I think they're that good, but they got to get the navigation down. So I got them at 5. My 4th place team. Now this is where it kind of separates, I think, in terms of skill level at this moment. 4. Oh boy. I think I'm gonna keep Litton and Sharik at 4. They're like right on the outside looking in. They're a very solid team, though. They haven't made really any mistakes yet. But I'm going to put them at 4 because I got to keep seeing it from them. I don't know whether they're like upper echelon or they're just riding a hot streak, which we've seen some teams ride. Like Lulu and Lala last year, I think, had a couple of weeks where they looked pretty good, but then really just failed at other weeks. So I'm going to put them, Litton and Shriek, at 4. Who's your 4th place team?
I have at 4 Marcus and Michael.
Okay.
Now I have it with a small little asterisk because technically, yes, they did finish 1st, and they did better than than the previous week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very concerned about this team. Like I'm putting you at 4, but they could collapse next week. In next week's episode, it's that kind of tenuous. They're a good team, but they could implode almost immediately too.
Yeah.
So I have them at 4. 3, I have Lynn and Sharik. I didn't really know a whole heck of a lot about them, but they're kind of like Derek and Claire, where they just kind of put their heads down and they just kind of go like. And the dad doesn't care. The dad in Linton, he's just like, I didn't have a dad. We're just gonna do this. Oh, yeah. Cool. I'll do the cheerleading with you in high school and college. I'll learn how to dance. So
yeah. Let's not forget that Sharik is a cheerleader too, or at least in high school. So
right. So they're pretty good. They're pretty good. I think kind of like you, where the top 3 teams, from at least for my list, they're slowly kind of starting to separate themselves. I think, and that's why I've let them Shriek there. They're a good team. They really are. They could win a leg. They could also win this entire thing, I think. So
Yeah, I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet with them because I got them at 4, but I think they're like the only reason they went down was because of Michael and Marcus winning
right.
this week. That's the only reason I got them at 4. I think I had them at 3 last week, but I just moved them down just because anything they really did. It's just because other teams kind of showed that they can win a leg. So we'll see how they do. My number 3 team is going to be. Yeah, I'm actually going to put Derek and Claire here. I had them at 1 last week. I'm moving them down to 3. It's not a big jump, but the fact that she really took a long time on that yodeling challenge is a little concerning. They are a really strong team. Obviously, if you're in the top 3, I still think that you're probably going to go to the top 3. So they still look really strong. And the fact that they were able to rebound as fast as they did, I got to give them some credit there. So, yeah, they're my number 3 team for this week. My number 2, we are going to put Marcus and Michael at number 2. Very strong week with them winning. I mean, they got off to a really nice start, made up some ground from last week. They do have a little bit of bickering, but I mean, we haven't really seen them blow up. I don't know. 2 guys in the Navy and Air Force, or Army and the Air Force. I don't know. You would think they would be able to control their emotions as far as not letting that affect them, but I'm putting them at 2 because they did finish first this week, so they move up for me from 4 to 2. Who's your second place team?
My second place team is Glenda and Lubumba. Lubumba. They did
Yeah.
really well. Wanted to crush that yodeling contest. She was the only one, if I remember correctly, the only one to do it on the first try.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I got the words. Okay, I understand the pronunciation. I mean, she really, really studied it, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna get this. Let's go. And so and they did really, really well with the dancing challenge too. So they're 2 for me. They're pretty good. They really are. They're a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So
And you're number 1.
my number 1 is Derek and Claire. Kind of like with your Quentin and Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Claire definitely positively struggled with the yodeling challenge. I think she'd still be singing if she could, with how many times she's did it. I mean, it looked like they were going until the sun almost set on them, almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's one bad week. Okay, they didn't finish first. Everybody has an off week. I mean, they're human. Are they beatable? We'll see. So that's my number 1, Derek and Claire. I don't think we can kind of jump with 1 week to go, oh, this team isn't as good as we thought it was. It's written in pencil for a reason, right? So I have Derek and Claire at 1.
Okay. Obviously, my number 1 is Glenda and Lumumba right now. They haven't won a leg yet, but coming in second both times and not really struggling at all. I mean, they look really solid right now. I gotta put them at 1. I think they just keep running this type of race. I mean, they could definitely be the winners of this season. But I think something's about to happen next week from the previews that we saw from them. They do look like they have some issues. So that'll be, interesting to see. But as of right now, they have run the best race out of anybody. So I'm putting them at 1. They look really good. Just been acing every task.
And it's interesting too, because they've only been married a year, and I think they said they were only dating for like 2 years before they're married. So like they really are kind of just like finding out, not necessarily like an Emily and Molly way, but they're kind of finding out what they're good at.
Yes.
Especially when they're like getting the map, they're like, okay, I'm going to do it this way, and she went, yeah, that's fine. That's how you do it. That's not how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Right.
So, I don't know. We'll see. They're an interesting team. They're good. They're good. I could see, judging by the preview, I could see though it looks like they struggled this week. We don't know. Looks like they struggled this week. So
yeah, we'll see. I mean, those things, obviously those previews can be a little misleading. So I mean, they could struggle and still take first. So who knows how this is going to go? But Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of intrigue here. It's tough. I think it's not like with Derek and Claire, they look really good, but there's a lot of other good teams too. So if Derek and Claire do have a bad week, they obviously another team can easily take first. I don't think it's like the Holderness family from last season.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I don't get that feeling from them.
right. And I mean, the Holderness family was obviously really dominant towards the end, but they also, there's four teams that didn't get to keep racing. Um, so yeah, we'll see. But Calvert, why don't you kind of preview next week's episode?
So next week we go from Austria to Italy. It's me, I'm Mario.
Yes.
So what they have to do next week is they have to carry a very, very large piece of cheese, Parmigiano cheese to be specific, and assist in building a motorcycle because you're in Italy and that's how they travel. A lot of people travel by motorcycle in Italy.
Sure.
So it's a two-parter. I'm sorry, it's not a two-parter. It's a two-leg race in Italy. So they're going to be in Italy this week. They're going to go to Bologna, and then they'll be in Italy again on the 12th, so the week after. So should be fun. So they go from Austria to Italy, and they're gonna have to fly. So nobody's gonna have to worry about at least getting from Austria to Italy without any trouble, or shouldn't have any trouble anyway. So don't navigate until you actually get there.
Well, I mean, at least I think it'll be a lot more even, at least at that point. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There has been a small spoiler that came out about this episode. It has nothing to do with where teams placed or anything. It just has to do with the, I guess, the leg design. But I'm not gonna say anything. It's not really a spoiler, I guess, if Amazing Race is already saying it. So it's up to you. If you want me to say it, I'll say it. But if not, we'll just. Okay. Well, leg 3 apparently is going to be a mega leg. And this is where they kind of bypass the no eliminations. So I don't think we're going to have an elimination next week, especially if it's a mega leg. So
it kind of defeats the purpose of Phil having to, which I'm sure Phil's already tired of saying, each leg is a non-elimination leg.
Right, exactly. So yes, it's not an elimination leg, but it is kind of a non-elimination leg. So,
which would make sense. That probably then explains why they're going to be in Italy for 2 weeks plus Italy's for
correct.
So
correct. So if you're going to have a bad week, next week is the week to do it. So we shall see. But obviously, you don't want to be so far behind that you're trailing the whole time. So
right, because there could be a speed bump.
Yeah, that's just it. Or I mean, you might. I mean, maybe episode 4, all the tasks are super easy, and there won't be any time for you to catch up.
Right.
So yeah, definitely want to go into next week with a strong start for sure. So yeah, very good, very good. Are you liking the season so far?
So far, yeah. I haven't. I don't have any animosity towards any teams yet, so my black heart is breaking just a little bit over that. So I don't have a team that I hate. That might change. That will probably change. Probably not next week, but maybe the week after. And it's been pretty good. It's been the races to the mats have been pretty close, relatively speaking. Especially this week. Like, I mean, obviously you're not going to run a Palace, but like if they would have had to, it's pretty close. Like there were teams that were, neck to neck with each other. So yeah, I like this season so far. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. I wasn't sure about this cast. I don't know if it's like the strongest season as far as in terms of personalities. There's a lot of teams that are just kind of like there, which I think kind of, I don't know. Usually they go for a little more outrageous personalities, but I do have one team that I just don't like. I do not care for Rich and Dom right now.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'm just not feeling that team. And Dom, especially, she seems like a nice person, but her personality to me is just like, I don't know. It's too much dramatics and theatrics with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much of this is real with her and how much is fake, because
Right.
it seems like a lot of it's fake to me
Right.
at least. But
Right.
other than that, I don't really have a problem with any other team. I think they all kind of are for the most part likable. Derek and Claire, I'm still kind of iffy on. Like, I can't tell if they're like that cocky, annoying team but they're really good, or if they're just, I don't know. I think, because they're from Big Brother, so they already kind of come with personalities,
Sure.
So I'm not, I don't know. I'm not real sure about them. So we shall see how they kind of develop their arc, so to speak. So, all right. Any final comments?
Should be fun going to Italy. It doesn't look like the weather's going to play a factor for this part of the leg of the episode, but usually in Italy, there's always something funny weather related that happens. So we'll see. Maybe they'll start to bigger as far as like stealing cabs and stuff. Not sure, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
We might not have a cab. I don't know, with all the, they're still kind of doing like COVID.
And then build a motorcycle. That's their form of transportation. So
correct.
Good point.
So we'll see. It might just be self-driving the whole time. So
yeah.
So very good though. Very good. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Like I said, I have no idea when Goldberg will join us, if he will join us, but we'll keep on going strong, and we'll see which team survives as far as in our draft order. So far, all three of us are still in it. So
good.
Yep. We've all survived. But anyways, that's our recap of Amazing Race episode 2. We will be back next week with episode 3 from Italy. See you then.
Have a good night, everybody.